Narcissists try their level best to appear fearless. They make it seem like they have zero weaknesses or vulnerabilities, but in truth and reality, they are cowards. They do have buttons which, when pushed, make them act out of character, and they lose all that control, that stability, the facade they put on, and that fragile, vulnerable, broken true self comes to the surface. What are their biggest fears? Let's find out in today's episode. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. In today's episode, we're going to discover 5 fears that terrify a narcissist to their core. If that sounds interesting, please make sure to subscribe before we begin, because as I always say, your subscription to the channel helps in spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse. And you may want to stick until the end, because 5th one is going to be the most interesting one. Fear number 1. When they cannot manipulate you. You see, narcissists depend on the information they can extract from observing your emotional state, from trying to know what you're thinking, how you are perceiving, and what all emotions can be triggered by acting in a certain way. The narcissist strategizes their moves, and they know how to control you using your own emotional map. But when you become unpredictable, when you are flat-faced and there is no feedback they're getting from you, they go crazy and they become really distressed, since they do not know what you're thinking about them, if you see them the way they want you to see them, if you are ready to give them that admiration, that validation, basically if you are under their spell or not. This is the primary reason why a narcissist is terrified of being around a neurodivergent individual, someone who is on the spectrum and is autistic, because their expression is different than neurotypical individuals. They do not show emotions the way most people show, and the narcissist blueprint fails there. They do not know which script to apply. That makes them more reactive than ever, because they are acting out of a very distressful state. They do not know how to gauge their responses, what buttons to push, because everything they're trying is not giving them the response they're used to getting from other people, which unfortunately leads to further abuse, because when they're not able to control the individual they're targeting easily, they use other methods which are more painful for the one who's on the receiving end. Number 2, narcissists are terrified of exposure. Now you may argue, narcissists love exposure. Yes, they love good kind of exposure. If you expose them and that exposure gets them a lot of admiration, validation, adulation, and they're put on a pedestal, this is what we can call a good form of exposure, and their weaknesses have not been exposed. Like, they like to get collective attention, especially the overt type. But I'm talking about the bad type of exposure, where you show the world who the narcissist is in reality, where you show them how weak they are, and their projected image is not who they are in reality. It is just something they have created to fool other people. An example of this could be you exposing how terrible of a parent they are, or you showing everybody how they cheated on you and betrayed you, assuming that those people are not on the narcissist side. The narcissist's false image is shattered. Now there is nothing they can do to uphold it, because everything is evidence-based. That is what gives the narcissist major and a catastrophic ego injury, which could also lead to narcissistic collapse. They may lose all potential sources of supply. Let's say you, as their supply, connect with all the future sources of supply and expose the narcissist, and let's assume that those sources believe you, and you contact the police, you contact their employer, everybody gets to see the narcissist for who they are. That is what they are terrified of, which is why they do everything in their capacity to uphold that image and to make it seem like you are the crazy one. That's why they're such a good manipulator, because everything they are depends on how they are perceived by others. So they hate this kind of exposure, and this is one of the primary reasons why they do not leave any clues behind. They know how to commit a crime and how to do it perfectly well. Fear number 3, a person with a strong sense of self, with a self-concept that's based on their inner knowing and their connection with themselves, and with a strong sense of self-worth, is like a garlic necklace for these vampiric beings. They hate them. They hate people with a strong sense of self-esteem because their personality cannot be defined by the narcissist. A narcissist loves to create a new personality for the victim they're targeting. They love to put you in a mold. They have to tell you who you are, slowly through manipulation and gaslighting. They have to instill that chronic doubt so that you start questioning your motives, your beliefs and thoughts. But think about this for a moment. If you know who you are, what you stand for, and if you, most importantly, believe in yourself, trust your intuition, trust that you know what you're doing and that you are loyal, that you meant well and you are not what they are defining you as, wouldn't the narcissist feel defeated? Wouldn't they lose all the control? Wouldn't they feel like they have nothing to do here, no games to play against you because everything they say and do backfires? On the other hand, quite surprisingly, some narcissists, particularly those who are malignant, love to target people with a strong sense of self, with an established self-concept, and with high levels of self-confidence. Why, you may wonder? They love to bring them down. The only sad thing is that these people also have a high-functioning moral system. They believe in doing good, they believe in giving chances, they believe in being honest, they believe in seeing good and finding good in other people, and that is what gets weaponized against them. But imagine if such an individual equips themselves with the knowledge of how this narcissistic world operates, and they become aware of what we call dark triad, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, narcissism. That can become their superpower and they can become undefeatable, especially for the narcissists. Number 4, when they know you know them and you know how much they hate themselves, they tremble, they pee in their pants. Why? Because a narcissist is all about projection. A narcissist eventually projects their insecurities, their shame, everything bad that they cannot accept about themselves onto you and make it your reality. Unfortunately, most of us fall for it because of how convincing they are and because of the fact that they are master manipulators. But if you know that everything they are saying, doing, every single behavior, their action, their thoughts, their beliefs, it's all about them hating themselves for being the way they are, you won't take it personally. And if you don't take it personally, how will they ever be able to impact you? If they are not able to impact you, what kind of power will they have over you? If they don't have any power over you, they will fail, and a narcissist cannot stand failure. If you take a stand for yourself and if you dig in very strong and clear, unshakable, unbreakable boundaries, if you do not justify yourself, if you do not take anything personally, if you do not explain yourself, if you do not defend, if you do not argue, how will they acquire supply? How will they gain the nutrition they need from you to survive? What kind of fuel will they be able to extract if you are not reacting to them neither positively nor negatively? That is their ultimate failure. A narcissist fears you seeing them for who they are because they want you to believe they're this humongous, monstrous entity that is all powerful. But you see that broken little child, that child living in an adult's body, and you see their actions as tantrums. They lose power. Number 5 and the last one, they are terrified of authentic people, people who are empathetic, people who are truth tellers because they can't stand whistleblowers. They can't stand those who are not afraid of telling them who they are and that they are not as powerful as they like to think about themselves. They hate empathetic people because they can't have that empathy for others. They crave it. They want you to offer all of it to them, but at the same time dislike it. because they think you are putting on an act of being nice. You're not being genuinely nice. They say, oh, come on, stop doing this, stop acting nice to all these people. You want them to think you're nice when you're not. That is clear projection. That is the confession. Like, that is why they act nice. Whenever they are nice, they want other people to think a certain way, but they are not genuinely kind. They are terrified of your authenticity because they know they can't stand it. They may try all the tactics to bring you down, to destroy you, but your authenticity, that is your core value, and they can't take it away from you. It's like oil and water. It cannot be mixed. They try to mix it. They try to bring you down. They try to demoralize you. They try to alter your personality, because in doing that lies their success. However, they never succeed at changing you at your core. They may trigger some trauma-genic or trauma-based alterations in your cognition, the way you think about yourself, in your emotions and all that, but that heals away and they remain the same. That is their story. They hate you as a truth teller because they want you to believe their illusion. They want everybody to believe their illusion, which is why the world a narcissist lives in is not the real world. It is fantasy based. It is an extension of their own false self, since everything in their imaginary world enables their ego, strokes their ego. You as a truth teller and an authentic and as an empathetic being cannot do that, won't do that, and that irks them. They want to change it. They want to somehow make you believe what you are not ready to believe, because there is no foundation for it. And that is what they are terrified of the most, because there is no way for them to deal with it. What do you think a narcissist is terrified of the most? Drop your answers in the comments below. And with that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode, listening to this episode until the very end. I'll talk with you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.